This is the desert biome, known for its extreme temperatures and lack of moisture. And if you look closely, you will notice the dama gazelle in the picture, which are the featured endangered species for this presentation. There are 4 zones to the desert biome: the hot or the subtropical, the semi-arid, which is less extreme, the coastal, which is located on the coast, and the cold, where the precipitation falls in the form of snow. This presentation will focus on the hot or the subtropical. Examples of deserts around the world are the Saharan, the Australian, the Atacama, and the Mojave. The desert receives less than 50 centimeters of precipitation per year, and the temperature ranges between 100 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and 25 degrees Fahrenheit at night. This averages out to about 62.5 degrees Fahrenheit or 30.5 degrees Celsius. It's also important to note that deserts usually occur on the latitudes of 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. Scientists believe deserts are created by the dry air either from the leeward side of a wind shadow effect or after moisture is continuously dropped, leaving dry air to form deserts. This climatogram shows that the annual average temperature is obtained by a higher temperature of around 34 degrees Celsius during the dry months, in this case, June, July, and August, and a cooler temperature during the winter months, the lowest being 11 degrees Celsius. The other graph shows that the desert biome receives the least amount of precipitation, yet it still has a wide range of temperature. Desert soils are known as aridosols, meaning dry soil. Because it is so dry and plant decomposition is hardly abundant, the soil is nutrient poor. Usually, salt crust is left behind after evapotranspiration, and when leaching or washing away of salts would normally occur, there is not enough water in the desert biome to do so. Thus, salt builds up on the surface. There are 2 main limiting factors to the desert: the extreme temperatures and the lack of precipitation. Both make it very hard for most animals and plants to survive. There are many producers and consumers in the desert, however. Some producers are the barrel cactus, the brittle bush, the creosote bush, which not only provides food, but shade and hiding for animals, and rice grass. Primary consumers are animals such as the kangaroo rat and crickets or ants. Secondary consumers are animals such as the horned lizard and the rattlesnake. Tertiary consumers are animals such as the bobcat or the red-tailed hawk. This is another example of a food web for the desert. There are certain predator-prey relationships that occur often in the desert. One being jackals preying on geckos, but fall prey to the desert lion. Another, tarantulas are prey for the desert hawk. And lastly, jackrabbits are prey for the bobcat. There are many adaptations plants may have to survive in the desert, the first being how their roots are formed. As seen with the mesquite tree, the roots are long and extensive, in an effort to obtain water from the water table. The saguaro cactus, in contrast, has shallow roots in order to collect surface water from a wider radius. Both are desert adaptations. Other adaptations include waxy cuticles to seal in the moisture, and thorns when present in thousands or hundreds of thousands on cactus, providing shade. Many plants don't have leaves to reduce the amount of evapotranspiration that occurs. Another way to reduce evapotranspiration when plants do have leaves is by closing their stomata during the day. Animals also need adaptations to survive in the desert. Many animals, such as the fox and different snakes, are nocturnal and burrow during the extreme heat of the day. Large ears on jackrabbits and foxes can dissipate heat more efficiently through the veins. And cave ground squirrels use their bushy tails for shade. The Addicks antelope changes colors with the change in temperature, and it becomes light during the hottest months. Lastly, some rodents have specialized kidneys to recycle water from their urine and allow less to escape their body. Humans have a large impact on the desert biome. This is especially because plants are not resilient due to the lack of water. Desertification is the process of growing desert land. This happens when native plants in the surrounding biomes die, often because humans are irrigating, which leads to more salt, and the salty crust does not allow water to get to the plants, thus killing the plants and making more desert land. The same process occurs when people replace native plants or get rid of them altogether. Salinity increases, and it's more difficult for plants to take up water. This happens when people bring in herds to the desert biome or they develop. Solutions for this could be laws concerning irrigation or different types of planting. Off-road vehicles are also a huge impact on the desert biome, and people may not know it. When people use off-road vehicles such as ATVs and dune buggies on the desert, they compact the soil beneath them, allowing for less water to be moving and the plants to be affected. Solutions for this would be restricting or limiting the areas for the off-road vehicles. The Dama gazelle is a primary consumer, and it eats plants such as the creosote bush and rice grass. From this, they gain most of their water and are able to survive in the hot conditions of the Saharan desert. Left on its own, the Dama gazelle travels in herds of approximately 10 to 15, and they are eaten by secondary consumers such as lions, cheetahs, and leopards. The Dama gazelle started to decline about 50 years ago, in the 1960s and 1970s. It became officially endangered on September 2nd, 2005, and today there is less than 100 left wild in the countries of Mali, Chad, and Niger. The 550 captive are located around the world, some in the US in places such as Texas and the St. Louis Zoo. The Dama gazelles are very vulnerable because of their fixed migratory patterns. During the very hot, dry months, the Dama gazelles will migrate to the Sahel, which is less extreme. However, because of desertification, the Sahara is growing and the Sahel is shrinking. This makes it much harder on the Dama gazelles. The initial cause for decline, however, was uncontrolled hunting. Again, with desertification and the increase of livestock makes it hard for Dama gazelles to live. Increasing livestock makes for competition for food, and also some livestock may drive away the Dama gazelles themselves. There have been a few recovery efforts for the Dama gazelles. One being the St. Louis Zoo's Saharan Wildlife Center, providing aid and education for all endangered species in Sahara. Captive breeding of the Dama gazelle also happens all around the world. Often, This occurs in Texas. These efforts, however, are not very successful because of how poor the original countries of the Dama gazelle are. A few laws concerning the Dama gazelle. One, in Niger, the Termite and Tantoma National and Cultural Reserve protects the land inhabited by Dama gazelles, and the Federal Wildlife Services in 2014 exempted the Dama gazelles from normal endangered protocol. This actually allowed for more breeding to happen and more release back into the wild.